Hi there, guys, girls, and NBs. I'm Simon from Games Deconstructed, and today I'd like to have a bit of a chat with you, a bit of a powwow, if you will. I've realized recently that it would do my channel much good if I were a bit more regular with the uploads, and that requires curating a sort of content creation mindset for myself. Kind of a feedback loop where the more regularly I post, the more regularly I post. So I've realized that a good way of doing that could be starting sort of a weekly recap show to let you know what I've been playing in the past week, what I've been watching, maybe showcasing some content creators that I really like and have been an enjoyable part of my last week. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to Big Week. If you're interested in knowing what pieces of media have been occupying me this past week, keep on watching. Game of the Week. So, my game of the week, and probably many other people's game of the week, was undoubtedly Elden Ring. This handsome gentleman you can see on screen right now is my tarnished character, and I'm really keen on showing him off to you, because this game has put me in a state that I haven't been in since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. I'm filled with an urge to talk about what's going on in the game. As I mentioned, I had the same problem when I was a wee little baby, and when I was about 7 or 8 years old, my father, who was one of my main targets in delivering these long-winded and probably tiresome reports on what happened in the game that I was currently playing, instituted a rule that I was only allowed to tell him about the games I was playing if it was in English, which I feel really fast-tracked my learning of the language. But that's just a funny little aside that kind of explains how I feel about being able to tell all of you guys that I finally, after I think about 30 attempts, managed to beat this lady on screen right now. By the end of it, when I was around in the late 20s in terms of attempts, I was a mess. I was reduced to a nervous wreck by the game. I was screaming profanity at the screen. The game has essentially molded me into the crying Soyjak meme. But right now the game is once again enjoyable. I can come back to kicking major ass with my dual-wielding giant sword, alpha male Kirito clone that I've assembled here, and everything is right again in the world of Elden Ring, at least until I reach Radahn, which is going to happen sometime next week probably, and is going to make me a nervous wreck again. But yeah, Elden Ring, wholeheartedly recommend. If you have the slightest feeling that you might like a Souls game, in my opinion, Elden Ring is the absolute best Souls game so far. Game of the week, but it's made of cardboard. In the past week, I've joined a couple of used board games buy-sell groups on Facebook, which resulted in me making a bunch of purchasing decisions, not all of them the smartest, but I got some games that I really enjoy, and one of these games is this one over here. I'm prepared. I'm very well prepared for this video. Paranormal Detectives. Let autofocus do its magic. Don't worry, it's coming back in a sec. I was looking for something for up to 6 people, a sort of medium to low complexity, something that could essentially be described as a party game. We have these meetups of like 2 to 3 couples from time to time, we drink a bunch of wine, we play code names, other games on sort of that level of complexity, so I thought it would be nice to get something along this vein. And so far, based on the one playthrough I did with just the girlfriend, a 2-player playthrough, I think I'm going to really like Paranormal Detectives. It's not a high complexity game, but it's sort of in the vein of Mysterium if you've played that. One of the players takes on the role of the ghost, a tragically deceased person that has all the details of how they were killed. The details being who killed them, their motive, the place of death, the method, as well as one more. 5 descriptors of the murder that end up tying together into a sort of coherent story. So, for example, you might be a stonemason trapped behind a wall of your own making by your jealous apprentice that wants to replace you. That's not an actual card in the game, so don't worry, I haven't spoiled anything for you. But yeah, it's sort of along this vein. And all the other players go around the table one by one, and they essentially ask you open-ended questions. And they present you with a card from their selection of cards that allows you the use of one of the inbuilt minigames to answer. So for example, let me open up the old box. So for example, you might only be allowed to answer the questions on the killer's identity using this Ouija board over here, if that's the card that the person asking the question used. Or maybe you're only allowed to answer using the ghost meter by placing some... Let me bring that closer. Whoop. The ghost meter. So maybe you're only allowed to... place a couple of indicators on the old ghost meter over here. Or maybe you have to use a selection of 3 tarot cards, also included. The cards are one use only, so there is an inbuilt mechanic of which method of communication you use for which sort of fact that you have to guess. Because the victorious player is the one who guesses all of the facts with acceptable accuracy. So for example, in the scenario that I described earlier, a descriptor of the killer along the lines of apprentice or maybe student would be accepted, but perhaps fellow brickmason might also work, depending on what you see on the card and sort of on the meta that you agree with the other players. It has a strong detective/paranormal theme, which I really enjoy. So I'm really looking forward to playing that with the whole 6 people. It can be played both co-op and competitively, so I will try both ways and I'll let you know how I like it.
TV series of the week.
So last weekend, me and the girlfriend, while suffering from the
Tiniest spot of hangover,
decided to binge Inventing Anna on Netflix. And I really liked that one, actually. It's sort of like Gossip Girl meets a true crime documentary. It half follows, half fictionalizes the story of a real-life con artist, Anna Delvey, who infiltrated the Manhattan elite posing as a rich German heiress and either embezzled or tried to embezzle quite a bit of money. The story follows a journalist who is trying to secure an exclusive interview with her while she's in jail, awaiting her trial, as well as Anna herself in retrospections. And it's really interesting because it doesn't portray her as either someone worthy of celebration or completely unsympathetic. So yeah, if you enjoy a good villain protagonist and also a bit of that Gossip Girl bling, this might be the series for you. It's on Netflix, it's only 8 episodes, wholeheartedly recommended.
Miscellaneous object of the week.
So, I forgot that kiwis existed for about 5 years. And they were an option with our fruit and vegetable delivery service this week. So we got about 1 kilo of kiwis, and I am a big fan. I stan kiwis now. Seriously, if you have the option, go buy yourself half 1 kilo of kiwis. You will not regret it, provided they're ripe enough. I'm sure it will be an experience that you can share in the comments with me. This is a kiwi eating channel now. And that's all I have for you this week. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.